I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're taking a look at a book that could be a game changer in your life. It's called Puzzle Pieces of Life, and it's written by a wonderful author, a wonderful doctor by the name of Dr. Gunta Caldwell. This enlightening book helps readers understand and integrate the confusing and buried parts of themselves. Join us right now as we explore how self-discovery can lead to personal liberation and a flourishing life. We're delighted to have this talented author join us once again here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her remarkable book. The links are below this interview. Doctor, thanks so much for joining us once again here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan, for having me.
It's my pleasure. This is a great book. Like I said, for a lot of folks, this could be a game changer when it comes to self-discovery and knowing oneself. What inspired you to write Puzzle Pieces of Life?
Well, that's easy. I've been in practice for a long time. I have wonderful people that come in to see me, and there's always struggles, as we all know. I've had struggles, I'm sure you have, of how to cope with different elements in our life, whether it's seeing ourselves as being enough, whether it's about death in our life in some way, whether it's about our regrets, our mistakes, even about meditating or listening. All of those are elements of our life in one way or another. And I just felt that by putting it in poem form, maybe that would be a succinct way in which people would be able to read it, might inspire them to look at themselves in a different way than they may have before. And by doing that, hopefully, it would give them an inspiration to shift in how they may see themselves.
Absolutely. And I love the metaphor of a puzzle as well. Do you know the American talk show host by the name of Jerry Springer?
Yes,
He has a
yes.
crazy show, but I interviewed him one time and he's a very intelligent man. And I
Right.
asked him a question about life, and he answered it by saying everybody's puzzle pieces together differently. And
Oh, really?
yeah, I love that, and it stuck with me. And when I saw your book, it actually reminded me of that the puzzle
Okay.
pieces of life, because our lives do piece together like a puzzle, and some of those puzzle pieces are missing, or we don't know where to find them. And
Mm,
I think it's
mm.
really a great metaphor. Tell us a little bit about what readers can expect to find when they open up the pages of your beautiful book.
Well, I'm hoping because again it's in poem form, it means that they don't have to go through pages and pages of reading. Well, what is enough, or what is love, or what is kindness? It's written in such a way that they can flip it open, read a poem, and say, "Oh, okay, I can relate to this, and I don't have to go reading pages and pages to get the gist of what it is that is resonating here with me." And maybe by that, I'm hoping that that will give people the inspiration to say, well, maybe I can look at myself differently because I've read it in these few lines, these few pages.
Yeah, and it also becomes kind of like a daily affirmation or a devotional, if you will, where you can just pick up a poem and read it if you have a question about love or whatever aspect of life is troubling you or you're involved in at that point in your life. When you look at these poems, do you have a favorite? I know it's like asking to pick among children, but I'll ask you anyway.
No, I don't. I mean, obviously, I've read the poems many times to make sure that they are how I'd like them to be. Um, as I was waiting for this interview, I hadn't marked one of them. It was time, and I thought, oh, I was wondering whether you might ask me
I
about which
would
one was
love
my.
to hear you read it if you don't mind.
Okay,
That'd be
I
great.
will.
You have your cheaters on there too, so you're all set to go.
I am.
Your
Okay.
glasses. There we go.
Okay, time. Where were you, time, when I needed you so? Where were you, time, when I had forgotten? Why didn't you remind me that you are so precious? What was I doing when you kept on marching? Where did you go when I tried to hold on to this nebulous state that we call time? You didn't listen, you didn't heed. to my pleas and my wants when I tried so hard to plead with you earnestly and became quite cross that you didn't slow down, no matter my frown. That time has no ear, it has its own pace, for me to surrender to its graceful flow, and to step into line as it beats its own rhythm, for me to allow, and all I can do is be in the moment to cherish it sincerely as time continues on.
That's beautiful. I love that. I really do, because it kind of captures the way we feel about time, particularly when something has passed or something is lost. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the time you might have spent with your mom, time you might have spent with your pup, whatever it might be. And and it's great advice towards the end that we have to live in the here and now. We have to live in the present. But if we
Mm-hmm.
could control time, I guess we'd be the richest person in the world, because that's the one thing they're not making any more of. And it seems to go acceleratingly fast as we age, right?
Exactly, very
Yeah.
much so. Yes.
That's a great daily reflection for sure. Tell me about writing this book. Are these poems you wrote specifically for the book, or are they poems you just happened to write over the course of years?
Well, in actual fact, no, not over years. There's 50 poems in the book, and not this last Christmas, the Christmas before. After Christmas, they suddenly all just came to me, and I wrote them all in 10 days.
Wow,
Yes,
amazing. So
yes.
inspiration is real and it can come to you like that. So over those 10 days, were you writing furiously? Did you realize the creative juices were flowing and you were saying to yourself, let me get this down on paper?
Well, it was. It just seemed like it was demanding me to write the poems, and I thought I've never particularly written in poem form, but I do like poetry. But it just seemed like that was the way I needed to do it, and so that's what I did, and that's what eventually evolved. So yes, I was writing furiously for 10 days.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I think inspiration does come in spurts like that. So you were smart to get it down while you were thinking and not procrastinate, because these works really do seem inspired. What practical steps do you recommend for someone who is beginning their journey of self-discovery?
Well, I think there are so many wonderful books out there that we can read and we can be inspired by. But at the end of the day, it's that introspection of looking at ourselves and seeing, well, what is it that I'm unhappy about within myself? And not from a judgmental perspective, because I think that is where we all fall down, that we tend to be very judgmental with ourselves, not with our family and friends so much, but with ourselves. And if we can look at ourselves in a way that we can glean some wisdom, and that's the idea of these poems, that taking something and saying, well, I don't feel I'm enough. So why do I not feel I'm enough? How do I change that? Why do I feel that? And it may go back to our childhood and how things happened then, but at the end of the day, we're an adult now and we need to embrace that. And if we can look at that in a way that, okay, I can take a piece at a time and see what I can do with that to see that I am enough. It might be that I exercise 3 times a week. Well, that's enough, okay?
Yeah.
I might change my diet a little bit. Well, that's enough, okay? So doing that gives us the opportunity then to start seeing ourselves in a better light, in a kinder light.
Yeah. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. I think that's part of it as well. I mean, I think we have so many expectations, so many pressures nowadays from society to be a certain way, to have a certain job or a certain look. We see our friends on social media who seem to be having the time of their lives, and everybody
Exactly.
doesn't realize that these are little snapshots in between, in some cases, unhappy moments, you know? So it's a tough yardstick to measure yourself against if you're
Mm.
watching people on social media. So it's important to be mindful of that. Tell us a little bit about your writing career. Are you working on anything new right now?
Well, I do have, I suppose, another 50 poems that I could put into another book
Yeah,
if I
that's wonderful.
that would be the only thing. Otherwise, yes, I've got a busy practice. I enjoy my work immensely. I love what I do. And so my life is busy
Yeah.
in with work and with the other interests that I have in life. Yes.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about your practice.
Oh, my practice. Well, I use a technique called NET, neuro-emotional technique, in my practice, which is something that has brought about profound changes, not only in my life, but in the lives of my patients, because there you get to the underlying reason of why you may not feel enough or why you cannot cope with the death of a friend or a relative. And being able to unpack that and to be able to see what is underlying that, which might be loneliness, which might be the fact that you lost a dog when you were little and therefore death to you seems such an extraordinarily tough thing to come to terms with, and then a friend dies and it brings back all of those memories. And so that's part of my practice of being able to unpack that and for people to realize that, oh, that's where it started from. So by then being able to shift that, then they can live a more liberated life.
I think your patients are very lucky to have you as a practitioner because you're such an insightful person. And it sounds like your practice is absolutely terrific. This book is great, folks. It's a collection of 50 poems that will have you reflecting on the things in life that are truly important and maybe will help you let go of those things that truly are not important. The name of the book is Puzzle Pieces of Life. It's an enlightening book that helps readers understand and integrate the confusing and buried parts of themselves. Through this book, you will explore how self-discovery can lead to personal liberation and a flourishing life. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Logan.
Thank you for your time. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time, this time until next time on Spotlight.